Chapter 2143 Old Man, Be a Human Being. Zhu Chue's words made Li Guangxiao blush, and it was like a loud bell waking him up. At this time, you can no longer be greedy for personal gain. Otherwise, it may affect the overall plan of the Huaxiu kingdom. He was silent for a long time before finally waving his hand and saying to Suzaku, "Perhaps you are right. In that case, then you should inform Han Dun of this matter and ask for his opinion. Remember, don't notify other regions for the time being." He emphasized the point again. Because if only Chaos participates in this matter, then whether other regions come or not will not have a particularly big impact on the results. But at least they can get more resources. At this time, Zhang Yi had just ended his retreat. Although Ling was just a shell, her experience gave Zhang Yi great inspiration. Originally, he wanted to continue studying for a while, but because a guest came, he had to stop temporarily. That's right, friends come from afar, from the west. On this day, a very unique round spaceship arrived outside Blizzard City, asking to see Chaos by name. On this spaceship was the white Labrador Brian and his master, Professor Da Vinci. Is this Blizzard City? It looks quite nice, like a steel fortress. Brian stared at the towering city wall and couldn't help but sigh. The Huaxiu people have been very good at building high walls since ancient times. This is just superficial work. In reality, up to now, the ones who truly decide the outcome of a battle are all top-tier Inhumans. This city defense may seem strong, but it can only deal with low-level aliens and mechanized troops. As soon as the two arrived here, they immediately contacted Zhang Yi. They were all invited by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi is in the southeast area of Blizzard City, very close to here, and it only takes a few space shuttles to get here. This was the first time he met Professor Leonardo da Vinci. He attached great importance to that mysterious existence because the other party was able to train a dog into a powerful bishop-level alien dog. It was hard to imagine how powerful the other party was. Zhang Yi arrived outside the city. They were on a round, translucent spaceship with a hemispherical cover on the upper half, through which a man and a strange dog could be clearly seen. Professor Da Vinci was wearing a white coat with a green sweater underneath. It was dirty with vomit or something. With messy hair and a pair of dead fish eyes, he's not the kind of guy who can give people a good impression at first sight. After seeing Zhang Yi, the man and the dog jumped off the spaceship. "Hi, bro. Long time no see. How have you been lately?" Brian came over and greeted Zhang Yi with a polite smile. "Not bad, but not that great. How about you?" "I'm fine, but sometimes I feel a little lonely." "Haha, you told me before you came that you had a little gift, right?" I think." Brian poked his fingers with his two dog paws, looking as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. Zhang Yi laughed dryly twice. "Don't worry. Everything is ready for you." Professor Da Vinci was standing nearby, looking at Brian's stupidity with an impatient expression. "Okay, Brian, you go aside first." He walked past Brian and approached Zhang Yi. "Hello, my name is George Da Vinci, and I'm a scientist." Hiccup. "I heard you were planning a war with the underground civilization, so I came to help. But help doesn't come without a price. I need you to provide me with a large number of lizardman corpses as research material. Also, as they are an advanced civilization, I'm also very interested in their history. In short, you need to pay the corresponding compensation after the war is over." Zhang Yi shook his hand and said with a smile, "Of course I understand this. Don't worry, as long as you come to help, I won't treat my friends unfairly." "Well, I'm really sorry about one thing. We are currently on the defensive, so we haven't decided how to proceed, whether to fight back or to relocate the entire Huaxiu nation to a higher snowy plateau," Zhang Yi said with an apologetic look on his face. The war against the Wulwan Empire was top secret, so naturally it was impossible to tell them. He had to confirm the other party's attitude first. The key was whether he could be trusted. When Professor Da Vinci heard this, he narrowed his eyes and stared at Zhang Yi. "Okay, I know you don't trust me yet. But I know you'll start a war. Only one civilization can exist between the Huaxiu Kingdom and the Wulwan Empire. You have no choice." Zhang Yi spread his hands helplessly. We are also very distressed now. He invited the man and the dog to go into the city to talk, only to see Professor Da Vinci take out a remote control and press it. The spaceship shrank rapidly and finally fell into Da Vinci's palm, which he stuffed into the space behind the remote control. Space-related abilities? Zhang Yi said secretly in his heart. But he still entered the city with one man and one dog. He did not go to the area where Tianhai Fortress was located, but went to the villa that had been prepared for him. Preparations for war are underway around Tianhai Fortress, and they must not be seen. The three of them arrived at the villa. Zhang Yi made coffee for them and then asked directly. Brian told me that he's a member of the Hitomi organization. Which of the four horsemen is he hoping for? Zhang Yi asked with a smile, looking at Brian and then at Da Vinci. Brian puffed out his chest proudly, placed a paw on his chest, and said solemnly, I am the Knight of Benevolence, Brian Griffin. The kindness of a dog. Zhang Yi sighed and said for some reason, he always felt that the Tong organization's decision was a joke. Hey, dogs are much more virtuous than humans. But then again, where are the two beautiful ladies you prepared for me? Here or here? Brian started searching impatiently. Ahem, let's talk about this later. Zhang Yi coughed twice. Professor Da Vinci said impatiently, Do you know what I regret most? It's that I didn't sterilize you. Hey, old man, act like a human being. Now you're more human than I am. Zhang Yi stopped the two from bickering. He asked with a smile, So, did you two contact me this time because of any intentions from Columbia's top management? He smiled, but his eyes were filled with inquiry as he carefully observed the micro-expressions on the faces of the man and the dog. Da Vinci also narrowed his eyes. You're worried that I'm an undercover agent sent by Columbia, right? Chapter 2140 for Da Vinci's Purpose. Haha, although I don't want that to be the case. But, after all, you're a Colombian, and you work for the Natural Science Association. It's inevitable that I would think so. Zhang Yi admitted that he doesn't like to beat around the bush. There are two purposes for calling them over. First, if they were sent by Columbia, it means that Columbia has realized that they might declare war on the Wulwan Empire. If this is the case, Zhang Yi must be on guard against Columbia taking the opportunity to do something detrimental to the Huashu Kingdom. If that happens, the situation will become extremely complicated. The current Huashu Kingdom cannot have the spare capacity to deal with two powerful civilized countries at the same time. All plans have to be started over again. Perhaps Zhang Yi will consider temporarily putting aside the conflict with the Wulwan Empire, surviving for another 2 or 3 years, and then taking revenge after he has grown up. The second possibility is that Professor Da Vinci and Brian came as members of the Hitomi organization. This result is much better than the first one. Members of the Tong organization are spread across the world, and there must be some in Huashu country as well, but Zhang Yi doesn't know many of them yet. The members of this organization are solely dedicated to surviving the apocalypse and do not belong to any nation. Instead, they actively fight against civilizations hostile to humanity. Professor Da Vinci stared at Zhang Yi with a pair of dead fish eyes and said bluntly, You may not know this, but I'm actually a Romani, just holding a Colombian green card. It's true that I work for them, but only to get research resources through them. I came to you this time for the same reason. So don't treat me like a dog of the Colombian executives. That's not polite of me. Woof. Brian glared at him. What's wrong with being a dog? You're being racist against dogs. After listening to this, Zhang Yi nodded and said, Well, may I ask what suggestions you have for the current situation? He needs to see the other party's attitude. Professor Da Vinci seemed to have been prepared. He took out a bottle of wine from his trouser pocket, took a big gulp, burped, and then spoke very quickly. Although the current strength of Huashu Nation cannot possibly defeat the Wulwan Empire, after all, the gap in the level of top extraordinary people is too huge. But then again, they can't win you over either. You see, this is why they only dare to use the weather to cause a tsunami to attack you. Due to the restrictions of this world, that black guy can't fight outside for long. He is very afraid of the ancient civilization under your Huashu country. Besides, he threw Zhang Yi a wink. With your current strength, Even if you can't defeat the Hades gatekeeper, as long as you're determined to escape, he won't be able to kill you. Between the two major factions, the top experts are holding each other back. But neither has the strength or the courage to truly destroy the other. Therefore, the most they can do is to start a local war to deter the other side. He gulped down another long gulp of wine. But I don't have any intelligence about the Wulwan Empire. So my personal advice is to find out their situation first before making any plans. Right now, we just have to do our defensive work. He suddenly narrowed his eyes and stared at Zhang Yi, saying, "All of the above is based on the intelligence I personally possess. But I believe you must possess a lot of information that I don't. Otherwise, given your personality, you wouldn't have done something like running over Fog Valley and provoking the enemy. I understand that you don't trust us yet. But I still say the same thing. If you plan to do anything to the Wulwan Empire, please take me with you. Because I've never been deep into the underground world." Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. This guy definitely wasn't telling the truth. If the Tong organization asked them to come and help, they would definitely give benefits to Professor Da Vinci and Brian. Now, everyone has secrets from each other. Zhang Yi touched his nose and said, "Don't you Colombians have underground civilizations? The legendary Abyss 51, or the Doxy Proving Ground." Professor Da Vinci got angry when he heard this. "Don't mention it. Those guys keep me trapped in the lab every day, saying my talent isn't suitable for fighting and killing, and they insist on making me do some biological genetic research. But if we don't conduct on-site research into the living environment of ancient civilizations and understand their civilization and history, it would be a great pity." A strange light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. If what Professor Da Vinci said is true, his abilities may not be suitable for frontal combat. Because in such a time when crises are everywhere, it is impossible for the Colombian top leaders to leave a top combat force and used in the laboratory. If he's not lying, then his abilities are probably similar to Quran or Kuer, more technical in nature and less practical in combat. Zhang Yi thought secretly in his heart. Zhang Yi smiled and said to the man and the dog, "Since you've come a long way, please stay in Blizzard City for now. I still have many questions for you. If I ever encounter something that requires your help, please lend me some assistance." Although Zhang Yi did not intend to reveal the war plan in advance, he was reluctant to let go of two such good fighters. After all, he is a bishop-level alien dog and a genius scientist whose strength is unknown but definitely not to be underestimated. As for whether they will stab me in the back, with Zhang Yi's current strength and the fact that he is in his territory, if a fight really breaks out, even if he can't kill anyone below the Black Bishop instantly, he can definitely do whatever he wants. Brian spread his hands and said, "Crab, no meat. What we agreed on, you see." Zhang Yi quickly smiled and said, "I'll have my close comrade Su Chunlei bring it to you later. He's an expert in this area." Brian covered his chest with his hands in happiness. "Oh, God. Thank you so much." Professor Da Vinci looked at it with disdain, then said to Zhang Yi, "I came here this time to ask for your help on something. You went to the Devil's Eye in Africa a while ago and entered the Druk's sealed land, right?" There was a strange flash in Zhang Yi's eyes. "You also know what the Druckers said?" "Haha, you're kidding. We Colombians came into contact with underground civilizations much earlier than you did. Where do you think all that advanced technology from the last century came from?" Zhang Yi understood. There had long been a legend that Colombia, a country that had only been established for about 300 years, had suddenly become the world's most powerful country. It might have been because it had obtained technology from aliens. It seems today that aliens do not exist, but ancient civilizations did have contact with them a long time ago. Stay with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.